Hey everyone, welcome back to Marketing 100. I'm Kayle, your salon and spa business bestie, and I'm joined, as almost always, not the past few episodes, but today, sort of always, we're joined by my good friend, founder of the salon business, John Halberg. John and I are here to bring you 100 snackable, tactical marketing tips to help you level up your salon business. Today, we've got something extra fun to talk about, and we might actually cut this one up into a couple episodes because I have a feeling it's going to run long. We've got a lot of tips here. John's been thinking about this for a while. He's been marinating on it. He's ready to be cooked. John, what are we talking about?
I want to talk about, can you really flick the switch and make more money as a salon owner? I think there's a lot of advice being tossed around about like, do this and you'll grow your business, do that and you'll grow your business.
Sure, yeah.
We're certainly guilty of passing these messages as well. But then we kind of like dive into these different strategies, tactics, and start to implement that for ourselves. And kind of as we start doing that, we're just realizing that, heck, there's a lot of work actually needed to do this. And even after doing it, there's a lot of time and effort and energy that needs to be put in for this to actually work.
Yeah.
So especially with the evolution of technology and where we are right now, there are some things that really is like a flick the switch that can have a meaningful impact on your business. So as a business owner, I think it's just crucial to be on that train, taking advantage of that, because your competitors are picking up on that as well. So you want to kind of get that competitive edge and making sure that those simple things that we could just switch on, that we're actually having those switched on.
It's obviously in any company's interest to like advertise whatever they have as like this silver bullet, right? Where like, you're going to do this thing and you're going to make more money. And it's as simple as that. And like, I would very much so like to believe all of those claims, but unfortunately they aren't always true. So I'm curious to hear exactly where you're going with this, because it seems like maybe there are some things that are kind of that easy, but there's some things that require a lot of work. So what exactly do you mean, John?
So Kayle, I want to explore this together with you, because I think if there's one man in this industry that knows tech salon operations inside out, it's you. So my thinking is that we keep this kind of simple, like not going into like all the hows to do it, because it really depends on which software you are using. We obviously use Mangomint, which is our default choice of platform. This channel is powered by Mangomint. It might be that you have similar type of support in your salon software. So let's not get in too much in the weeds, but more so like trying to like pinpoint like, what are those things? What are those switches that you could switch on that could start, create value to help you grow with very little effort?
Let's dive into this a bit, John. I'm going to have spicy takes either way. So yeah.
Let's see if we can get spicy here. I'm going to try to stay away from like the obvious ones, like enable online booking on your website, Of course, right? I think everybody has online booking on their website. So the first one that is really a flick of a switch is to use a smart waitlist manager in your business. If you've been following us now, we're probably on like episode 80. You must be crushing it. And your problem by this point in time is probably that you have too many clients trying to book you, which is often the case, honestly, with many business owners that we meet. Having a waitlist manager, like a real intelligent waitlist manager, if people cannot find an appointment, to opt in to the waitlist and tell, the system their preferences. And then as soon as like someone cancels and that slot shows up, to notify that person, they can book in and make that all happen in the background for you. You just need to flick on having a waitlist manager in your system. It will depend a little bit on the platform that you're using. But this can really be a big one that can help you drive more bookings, more appointments, fill up the schedule without you really thinking about anything. You just need to turn this thing on.
Having to check a waitlist manually all the time is so tedious. Like making sure that gets checked every day and that people can get in and that you're like properly filling bookings. Sometimes you get busy, you forget to check it, or like you have to do a bunch of like, confirmation calls or whatever the case is. And it just kind of gets lost in the flow sometimes. Just having a little prompt to pop up and let you know like, oh, this spot could be filled. Do you want to fill it? The level of tedium that it cancels out by just being able to do it automatically. Like it seems so simple in retrospect. Like it's just one of those things that just should be automated at this point. On top of that, clients can add themselves to the waitlist. When they're booking online, if a spot's filled, they can request a time and spot in case it opens up. And then if it does, the system tells you. Like that level of from client to business interaction that allows that to happen just makes it so much easier, right? You don't have to take phone calls and write it down and do all this other shit.
But I think it's like simplification is one, reducing overhead, great. We all need that. But I think it's also like this is kind of a time sensitive thing, right? If you get a cancellation and getting someone, in quick and it might be coming up soon, right? You don't have a ton of time to play with, like if you want to fill those spots. So like automating that, flicking the switch can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next one. Set up automated rebooking reminder for your different services. Making sure that clients come back for another appointment is obviously like crucial. Loyalty is crucial. There's so much you can do to drive loyalty, but just like having that reminder at the right time when it's about time to book is really important. And if you run like a full service hair salon or you run a business that have like different types of services, you might have nails, you might have hair. The time between the appointments will be different. And I think the timing of when you send those is important. So setting up separate reminders that goes out at the right intervals for people who have booked in for like their, manicure versus those that have their color service, or that you have like targeted reminders that goes out at the right time with the right message. It's time to come in and book again. Having your, booking link with that is an easy one. It's not necessarily just the flick of a switch, right? If you have like 4 core services you want to do this for, you need to create, at least in the Mangomint platform, there's a fefeature called flows that you would use for this. You would need to create like 4 separate flows for this that does this for you. But it's not more than 30-minute exercise or so to just go through to make sure that people will then be reminded at the right point in time that, they should come in for a second appointment with you.
Yeah, again, I agree with you. This is not necessarily a flick the switch thing. It's a small project thing to say like, okay, how many weeks do we want to reach out for this particular service, right? I would recommend in this case, like picking a few core services like John mentioned. And if it's for a color and it should be every 6 weeks, then you send out an email after 3 weeks, right? Because for sure after 3 weeks, if they're not booked in yet, or 4 weeks or whatever, it's going to be hard to get them in, right? Because you're going to be booked up. The important thing is like nailing that window where you're not yet going to be completely full. And if they haven't booked yet, then remind them so they can get in before it's not going to be an option for them, right? Whether that's like texts or emails or whatever it is, that the flows feature that John mentioned is really, really helpful for this, because you can set a flow where it says like after this amount of time, send a text and it says this. And after this amount of time, send an email if they still haven't booked and it says this. Those sorts of communications can feel like more thoughtful than pushy, because of course they want to come in and see you again. It's just people forget. We all know that people forget, and they call you the night before and they need to get in because, oh my God, my roots, or oh my God, whatever the case is. So this is a great way to get ahead of that and prevent yourself from having to deal with like the absolute clusterfuck of clients trying to squeeze their way in on a weekend.
So the next one is allow your clients to customize their service when they book. Allow them to add add-ons to their appointment. If you offer treatments that, improves the benefit of that service that they're booking in for, flick the switch, enable that as an add-on that they could add when booking in for their core service. Could also be adjusting the service. If someone is booking in for, let's say, a haircut, you could use based on like the length of the hair or like based on whatever parameter you want. Allow them to just adjust what that service is. And with that, you can then take up the price, if you're, providing more value with that service rather than just having it as like a one size fits all, the most common denominator, like this is my price. But you will have clients who come in that's going to cost you more. It's going to be like more complicated, require more product to do, or you're going to miss opportunities to even like upsell them on some of those treatments because they didn't really think about that when they booked in. So you didn't allocate enough time for that treatment to also take place. It's a small exercise you do, but then you just have that running and it will help you increase the value of each appointment.
Yeah, I love this one. It's sort of like the Uber Eats approach is kind of how I think of it. Like when you're ordering, this is a good example. So sometimes I like to order poke bowls online, right? I love a good poke bowl, but there's all kinds of options for like add-ons and like maybe I want to get the extra, like the crispy onions, or maybe I want to get like serranos in there, or like whatever they've got, right? Maybe I want an extra scoop of protein, like whatever the case is. I can choose to add those things on. And it's like, it's an extra $5 or whatever. Do you want to do that? Yeah. I'm hungry. I want that shit. So it fulfills that same sort of need where somebody's like, yeah, you know what? I would like a conditioning treatment, or like, yeah, I could really use a glaze, or like whatever the case is. And they can add those things on for themselves, and it accomplishes two things. It allows you to increase your average ticket, and it also allows your client to customize the service the way they want to and feel like they're getting exactly what they want. I cannot tell you how many times a stylist has come up to me and been like, hey, I need to book out an extra half hour for so-and-so because they've got a lot of hair. All the time, right? And that client will always need extra time if they've got a lot of hair, right? So having even an option to like say, I have a lot of hair, right? Or like my hair is really long, just like whatever the case is, to be able to like click that button and say, that's me. It makes the client feel seen. It makes them feel like there's an option for them. It makes them feel like they are considered and their needs are considered. Even if that does come with an additional cost or whatever, like that's fine. You can choose to like show, disclose that or have that be something you discuss behind the chair or whatever the case is. But just being able to have the option is nice. It's 2025. If you're not customizing your menu or like allowing your clients to customize your services, like this really is a flick the switch thing. It's like enable this option. It says this. Yes. It costs this. It's that easy. All right, everybody, that's what we've got for you today. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We've got a ton more of these. I'm probably interrupting John mid-speech right now, but we've got another episode with a bunch more of John's hot tips for you. Make sure you get subscribed so you can see that one. We'll see you next week, everybody.